Hi guys, Jane here, and I am doing a review on the 101 Dalmatians by Dodie Smith. You probably have a pretty good idea what this is about, but just in case you don't, I'm gonna tell you. So there's Dalmatian dogs, Pongo, and in this book, his wife's name is Mrs. They have some puppies. And an evil lady named Cruella de Vil kidnaps these puppies because she wants to turn them into doggy coats. So Pongo and his wife have to go on a mission to rescue these puppies, and as they're doing so, they find that she has a heck of a lot more puppies than just theirs. So this is a fairly old, I believe it was 1950s when it was published, children's classic. And one of the things I noticed about it right away is that it didn't age very well, in my opinion. It's quite sexist in places, and that was one of the things that if you are really looking forward to reading this, just be aware of. A couple things, for instance, is Mrs. doesn't know right from left, and people are kind of making fun of her and picking on her with that. And at one point, the Pongo and another boy dog laugh in a very masculine way. So I was kind of bothered by some of the sexism in this book, and just, kind of the roles that women are played. The women are definitely made as the weak characters in this, and the men the strong and smart and brilliant. Mrs. has a couple moments where she does heroic things, but for the most part, she's very scared and timid, and Pongo is kind of the hero, and I didn't love that. I did give this book a 4 out of 5. It was a good classic. It was fun to read, and I sometimes struggle with classics, and the fact that I enjoyed it at all says a lot because classics I'm kind of so-so about. But I did enjoy it overall. There's definitely some things that were different or didn't work for me, as well as like the movie. I love 101 Dalmatians. My kids love it. And I am planning on doing a video of kind of what's different with the book versus the movie. And some of those things I'm going to touch on in my review as well. This review may have some spoilers, but if you've seen the 101 Dalmatians movie, it's probably not going to be major spoilers. So aside from the element of the sexism and it feeling like an old book, it's also very English, I feel like. So I had tried to read this with my kids, and my kids are 7. And they really had no idea what was going on. The beginning of this book takes a really long time to get started because you've got all these introductions of all these characters and kind of stories about the human characters that don't make much difference. In the movie, you have, I believe it's Nanny. In the book, you have Nanny Cook and Nanny Butler. And there's like a lot of conversation about who they are and their roles, and my kids were like, we don't know what's going on. So I definitely would say this is a book for older children, and you might need to help them with some of the stuff that's outdated, and if you're American, with some of the stuff that's not typically said or done in American. Like there's a joke about there being bachelor flat. That's what it was. A bachelor flat, but no spinster flats. It's things like that my kids were like, we don't even know what that means. So some of the language and stuff was kind of weird. I did think it was fun. I did think it was humorous. I'd actually decided to read this because one of the booktubers I follow and just love is Murphy Napier. And she'd read it and she said that, it was something that she kind of didn't enjoy as much as an adult, but wanted to read with her kid. I enjoyed it. It's very fun, obviously a little fantastic, and there's some stuff that you have to really suspend the disbelief on. But overall, I did have a good time. there's a lot more focus on Pongo and the Misses' adventures and the things they have to do to find the puppies. And it's a lot more of kind of a fun adventure story. The Pongo and the Misses are well developed. The puppies are not so much. Like, I know in the movie, there's a lot of puppies that have a lot of personality. In this, there is, I think, only 3 whose name we know. And one is Lucky, who does not have nearly the personality they do in the movie. And another one is Roly Poly. And then there's the final one who I think in the book or in the movie was called Penny, maybe. It was the little girl. And there's a little girl in here, dog, but her name is Cadpig. Because I guess a Cadpig is the runt of the litter and she's the runt of the litter. But she's the one who, like, needs a lot of extra help and, is the tiny, small, sweet, cute, loves the TV main girl dog, Dalmatian puppy. So it's definitely, they're not as well developed, and the Cadpig thing was weird. Again, I'm not sure if that's a historical thing or a British thing. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right, but they named this little puppy Cadpig, and I just could not even deal with this Cadpig thing. Another thing that they did in this book that I have kind of mixed feelings about is they really dehumanized Cruella de Vil. Now, they did a good job of making her way more evil than in the movie. Like, she drowns kittens. She's an evil, terrible person, and, like, obviously she wants to skin dogs, and that's bad, but, I mean, this woman drowns kittens. She's a terrible person. You have no trouble hating her. In this book, they also very much dehumanize her. She is always cold, which is why she has to have the furs, because theoretically she probably is a demon and comes from hell. She tastes like pepper. Everything has to be highly peppered. She's a very strange character, and like I said, they really make her not human and no sympathy at all for her. So I had kind of mixed feelings about that, as far as she's a great children's villain, but she's not a very well-rounded villain for an adult reader. The best aspect of the book, I think, was that it was told kind of from the dog's perspective. It was an omniscient narration, but most of it was from the point of view of the dogs, and that was a lot of fun. There's a really good quote from the book that says, "In fact, usual dogs are more unusual than usual dogs." So, there's a lot of things about the dogs and the perspective that they have, the fact that Pongo can understand human language pretty well, that he's super smart. There's a lot of jokes about the humans being their pets and kind of the way the dogs feel about them, and just dog culture and society. And I did have a good time with that. This book was a lot of fun to read, especially if you like books about animals, and I really do. So I had a great time with it. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily advise it for young readers because it's very difficult, especially if you're American and your kids aren't used to a lot of the words and terminology. So, but I do recommend. As a classic. Again, as an adult, there's some stuff that I could see why it's more of a children's classic. I can see what doesn't necessarily work as well as a book for an adult. But also, again, my kids are 7 and they're not old enough for this. And even a 9-year-old, I think, would have some questions about some of the words and some of the jokes. I did love the jokes in here. It's a very funny little subtle jokes that were done. And it was also very interesting how it's very much a product of its time. So much of this feels very 1950s. So it's good. It's good, but it's old, and you can feel that when you read it. It definitely is, as a modern reader, it felt old and it felt dated, but I still had a good time. So, all right, guys, I'm Jane. I post videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and sometimes on a Saturday. And My social media is below, and so is the like and subscribe button. I will see you next time. Bye.